combine my career in the media with trying to educate people about being vegetarians and vegans and not being afraid to use those words. I myself became a vegetarian when I was 15, kind of the old-fashioned media route, I guess you could call it. I was assigned a project in high school, and we had to go on a mailing list to get pamphlets from some sort of charity or organization, and randomly I picked PETA. As soon as I got the first, this is before the internet, I got the first pamphlet in the mail, I saw the pictures, and that was it. And I think that's the effect that the media can have, is you have to see the pictures, you have to educate yourself and know what's going on. And so immediately when I was 15 years old, I gave up anything from a cow, and then I slowly gave up everything else until I became a full-fledged meat-free vegetarian at home. I am vegan. Sometimes, though, I'm a chef, and sometimes I do prepare in public things with certain dairy products because, sadly, I've been asked to do that, or I can't get on certain TV spots and everything like that. So I want to educate people, and the way to do it is sometimes to ease people into it. So I went into a career as a reporter, as a TV anchor, and I thought I wanted to do news. And for years I did news reporting, and I just kind of became bored, and I was like, what am I really, really passionate about? And I knew I was very passionate about meat-free food, about educating people about the fact that you don't need to eat meat. And so I randomly decided in 2005, I believe, to apply for a cooking show on TLC. It was called Dinner Takes All. And at the time, I had no formal training. I just taught myself vegetarian cooking because, as a lot of us know, yeah, there's a lot of vegetarian cookbooks out there, but there was no shows where I could watch and nothing else that I could really learn from. So I taught myself, and I said, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. I applied for Dinner Takes All, and I actually got selected. From the beginning, I knew they were portraying me as, the radical, meat-free person, and I knew they kind of liked that. It was me pitted against 4 big meat eaters. There was actually somebody on the show who, said in those little interviews off to the side that I didn't know about until it appeared on TV. He was like, vegetarians, get your own names for things. Stop calling them, meat like things like veggie burger, because a veggie burger's not a burger's got meat, So it was funny, that's how they pitted me, and it was, whatever, I rolled with it. The other people on the show, what was interesting was it was 5 of us who had to cook for each other and kind of convince the other person, who could serve the best food and who had the best dinner party, which is why it was called Dinner Takes All. And they were all forced to make me a meat-free meal, which was interesting because some of them had never done this before, so it was really a good way to teach people, through TV that they could make really flavorful meals. It was kind of put these people on their toes. They had to cook for me. When it was my turn to cook for them, though, they did eat all vegetarian. Actually, if I remember correctly, it was all vegan. And they ended up loving it, and we each voted on each other, and I ended up winning the show. And after I won the show, I was like, wow, wait a minute, I can do this. And I hadn't seen many vegetarians on TV at all. Like I said, there was, there's nobody on the Food Network, there was nobody around for me to have as a role model, so I didn't think that, that I could do this on TV. But after that, I kind of got a little fire, and I thought I could do this. I started getting invited on some other shows to cook, spreading the vegetarian message, and I was thrilled about that. And then I decided to go to culinary school to kind of bring it all around because I knew at that point I wanted to make it my career. I wanted to use the media to teach people that you can be vegan, you can be vegetarian, and that this is a movement that's not some niche thing, it's not radical, it's something that everybody can do, everybody should do, and everybody has their own reasons for it, obviously. My reason is I love animals, there's health reasons, environmental reasons, obviously several reasons, and I want people to understand every reason why you can be vegetarian, vegan, religious reasons. There's actually a lot more people that have embraced this as I've gone through my career than I would have thought at the beginning. So after I went to culinary school, I actually applied to be on Chopped. It was before Chopped even aired on the Food Network. I had never seen the show, and of course I went into the audition. They're like, "Whoa, you're a vegetarian? We really weren't thinking of using anything vegetarian on the show because you have to cook meat. Would you be willing to cook meat?" And it's something that I really, really struggled with. And this is where kind of the compromise gentleman over here who talked about the book that doesn't mention vegetarians and vegans by name. It's really hard. I pitched a show, actually while I was in culinary school, that was called Veg In or Out. And it was about eating vegan at your house and going out to restaurants and eating the same way. How you could, like if you wanted to eat an Italian meal, you could cook one up at home, and I'd also show you what kind of meals are out there at normal Italian restaurants where you can go and actually eat a good vegan meal. And I pitched it to a really big production company, and the woman there was actually a vegetarian, and she loved the idea, but she immediately said to me, I can tell you right now that the Food Network has told us, no, don't ever pitch vegetarian or vegan shows, and especially don't ever have any word that screams that this show is vegetarian or vegan. So I ended up changing the name to Greek Goddess, and I did shoot 7 episodes of that. One of the episodes ended up airing on NYC TV last year, so it's a big achievement for me. But anyway, when I applied for a job, getting back to that, they had asked, will you cook meat? And the reason that I had struggled with that, obviously, is I don't cook meat. I don't think I haven't really ever cooked meat. Obviously, I became a vegetarian when I was 15. But sadly, I knew to get the message out about vegetarians, I really wanted to make an impact and get on the Food Network. And so I agreed to do it under the guise that I knew all along that all I would be doing was talking about that, I'm a vegetarian and I don't want to cook meat, but I want to get my message out. And so I went on Chopped, and I think I got that message very effectively across because I actually ended up using very little of the meat product, and I tried to make beans 3 ways. I don't know if anybody saw this episode, but it was too ambitious, but I really did get the message out that vegetarians and vegans can make flavorful meals. The judges all loved the flavor. That was one thing they did not disagree on, was the flavor, but I actually did not get one of the ingredients in. And so that kind of disqualified me, so I didn't move on to the next round, but it was a huge impact to get on the Food Network. And did I want to cook meat? Absolutely not. It was chorizo, so that actually, I cut it out of my fruit, so I wanted the beans. Wasn't thrilled about it, but the impact it had afterwards from people saying, that said, finally, vegetarians on the Food Network, getting the message out, it was a breakthrough. And the whole reason that I decided to compromise a tiny bit is because I've learned, in order to get our message out, it takes small compromises, but once you make these little inroads, it opens up the doors to a lot more, because once I did that, I got invited to do my meat-free cooking on several different outlets. I went and cooked for the Real Housewives of New York. Since then I've cooked on NBC, CBS, tons of different places, and I'm actually appearing soon on Bravo on Pregnant in Heels, talking a little about my vegetarian pregnancy. So it's been, it's been a struggle to kind of get the message out there, but I was especially happy about getting on NYC TV. It was during Green Month last year, and I'm currently trying to get Greek Goddess to air somewhere else. But again, it's still a struggle. People keep saying to me that, vegetarian and vegan is hard to sell to the general public. So imagine my surprise this year when Oprah ended up doing her episode on vegans, which I thought was